going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Words coming in from the celebrities at the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary, asking why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were even there.
Blake had been playing the perfect victim, trying to control the narrative after that massive lawsuit. But in just one moment on live TV, Ryan threw it all away in spectacular fashion. Now, the internet is exploding. Blake is fuming, and Ryan, he's officially Hollywood's biggest joke. The SNL 50th anniversary special was supposed to be a celebration, big stars, big laughs, and an easy PR win for Hollywood's favorite power couple. Blake Lively walked in looking flawless, draped in a silver floral gown, radiating confidence. Ryan kept it simple in a black tux. From the outside, they looked solid. But if you paid attention, something was off. Blake was watching Ryan closely, almost like she was waiting for him to mess up. And she had every reason to. The show kicked off and the jokes were flying. Then the hosts turned to Ryan. A simple, harmless question. It could have been a non-moment, something to brush off with a quick joke or a polite nod. But Ryan couldn't resist. He smirked and threw out a sarcastic one-liner.
Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
The energy in the room shifted instantly. The audience laughed, but not the real kind of laugh, the kind that covers up second-hand embarrassment, because everyone there knew what he was referencing. Everyone had seen the headlines, the lawsuit, the months of damage control, and the one person who wasn't laughing, Blake Lively. Her face said it all. The second those words left Ryan's mouth, she turned toward him, eyes sharp, jaw tight. It was the kind of look that screamed, "Are you seriously doing this right now?" Because if there was one thing Blake wanted to avoid, it was their lawsuit drama becoming SNL material. But Ryan, he didn't care. This is what he does. He turns real-life disasters into punchlines. And this time, the joke was on him. When the lawsuit first hit the headlines in December 2024, did Ryan Reynolds take a step back and handle it with grace? No. Did he stand by Blake in any meaningful way? Also no, instead. He did what he always does. He turned it into a joke. In Deadpool Wolverine, Ryan introduced a new character, Nieceball, and let's just say the resemblance to Justin Baldoni wasn't exactly subtle. Soft-spoken? Check. Over-the-top feminist branding? Check. That cringy male ally energy that never feels genuine? Yep, that too. And if that wasn't enough, Ryan threw in a not-so-subtle pregnancy-related joke. Something Baldoni is famously passionate about. Baldoni's team saw right through it. This wasn't just another Deadpool gag. It was a deliberate, public mockery disguised as humor. And now, months later, Ryan did it again. Except this time, it wasn't scripted. It wasn't hidden behind a comic book character. It was live, on national television, with Blake sitting right next to him. The second Ryan made the joke, the room shifted. Even the SNL host hesitated. It was that awkward moment where no one knew whether to laugh or pretend it never happened, because here was Ryan, cracking jokes about a lawsuit that was anything but funny, and instead of backing off, he doubled down. To dodge the tension, Ryan randomly brought up Coneheads, a movie from the 70s that had nothing to do with anything. Tina Fey played along, shooting back, no, and based on them being made in 1975. It assumed they're highly toxic. Ryan smirked. Oh, okay. So if someone, you know, hypothetically took a couple of nibbles backstage, should they go to the hospital? Amy Poehler didn't miss a beat. Yes, they should go to the hospital immediately. And just like that, the conversation moved on. The lawsuit was swept under the rug. The audience laughed, not because it was funny, but because they didn't know what else to do. But Blake, she wasn't laughing. For years, she built her image as America's sweetheart, charming, respected, adored. And in one moment, it all came crashing down. Not because of an explosive lawsuit, not because of some career-ending scandal, but because of one careless sentence caught on camera, with the kind of arrogance the internet never forgets. And it only got worse from there. It happened at a press junket for It Ends With Us, a film already drowning in controversy. This was supposed to be Blake's comeback moment, a way to remind the world that she was still the face of a powerful, female-led project. And then came the moment that changed everything.
The reporter did not have a baby bump. She wasn't pregnant. And apparently it had a history of difficulty in getting pregnant, which is why generally you just stay far away for something like that.
Sitting across from Blake was Kirsty Flahappen, a veteran Hollywood journalist, respected, smart, and completely unaware that she was about to become the face of Blake's biggest PR disaster. She smiled, offering what should have been a harmless, supportive remark. First of all, congrats on your little bump. It was polite, friendly, nothing out of the ordinary, but Blake's reaction, immediate, brutal. Her smile vanished, her body stiffened, and without missing a beat, she shot back, "Congrats on yours." Silence. Kirsty blinked, confused. Then it hit. She wasn't pregnant. And worse, she had openly spoken about her struggles with infertility.
You know, but she's already kind of like, "Oh, why are you asking me about my bump? Like, how dare you do that?" As if this woman meant any harm in it, just like she looks cute, she has a bump. But, you know, this was in 2016. I would say that modern feminism peaked in 2016. Like, women were just doing things, you know.
Within minutes, the clip exploded online. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Every platform dragged Blake for what was, plain and simple, an act of cruelty. She had spent years being admired, envied even. But this was unforgivable. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a calculated move, humiliating someone in front of cameras for the whole world to see. And the internet didn't miss a thing. Kirsty D. Flahappen wasted no time responding. On July 15, 2024, she released a statement confirming what everyone already suspected. This wasn't just a slip-up. It was cruel. She opened up about her years of struggling with infertility, how Blake's words felt like a punch to the gut, and for anyone thinking this was some media hit job, Kirsty shut that down immediately. She had no connection to Justin Baldoni, no ties to the lawsuit, no hidden agenda. She was just a journalist doing her job. And Blake, she went out of her way to humiliate her. That was the breaking point. The internet turned on Blake Lively like never before. This wasn't about "it ends with us." It wasn't about Baldoni. It was about Blake herself, who she really was behind the perfectly polished PR mask. People who had never cared about the lawsuit suddenly had a reason to hate her. The headlines weren't about legal battles anymore. They were about her. And Blake wasn't just losing the public. She was losing control. While social media ripped her apart, her PR team launched a desperate counterattack. If they couldn't win on truth, they'd win with smears. Enter Stephanie Jones and Leslie Sloan, two of Hollywood's most powerful publicists. Their job? Not saving Blake, destroying Baldoni. By August 2024, the smear campaign was in full swing. Suddenly, anonymous sources started talking. Major publications ran hit pieces. The narrative shifted overnight. Baldoni wasn't just a director. He was difficult to work with, controlling, maybe even worse. Some articles hinted at serious allegations, even though no actual claims had ever been filed. The goal was clear: make him look guilty, whether he was or not. And it wasn't just whispers. This was a full-scale media takedown. Then came the real bombshell. The New York Times, one of the most respected publications in the world, suddenly ran a pro-Blake article, treating her claims as fact. At first, it seemed like a major win. If the Times was backing her, that should have been enough to sway public opinion. But Baldoni's team wasn't going down without a fight. On September 4, 2024, his lawyers released everything. Emails, text messages, internal documents. They exposed it all. They linked multiple anonymous sources directly to Blake's PR team. They revealed how the New York Times had selectively edited texts to make Baldoni look worse. And just like that, the entire campaign collapsed. Hollywood panicked. Executives who had once backed Blake suddenly stopped taking her calls. Serious stars who had defended her went silent. Publications that had pushed her lawsuit now refused to cover the case at all. Blake wasn't just losing public support. She was losing Hollywood itself. And now, she wasn't just losing her lawsuit. She was losing everything. Because for years, Blake Lively carried herself like Hollywood royalty. Graceful, composed, untouchable. The golden girl. The A-lister with a spotless reputation. But behind the red carpet smiles and the carefully curated PR image, there was a different Blake Lively. One that Hollywood insiders had whispered about for years. And now, they weren't staying silent. By October 2024, over 50 industry professionals had come forward with disturbing accounts of what it was really like to work with her. These weren't just diva complaints. These were horror stories. Crew members from It Ends With Us revealed strict, almost bizarre rules: no eye contact, no small talk, no speaking to Blake unless absolutely necessary. This wasn't just celebrity privilege. It was intimidation. A production assistant later described life on set under Blake's rule. Every day felt like walking on eggshells. One wrong move and you were gone. People were fired for as little as looking at her the wrong way. It wasn't just difficult, it was impossible. And the worst part, no one dared to push back. Even her own PR team knew exactly who they were dealing with. A former publicist who had worked with multiple high-profile celebrities later exposed what industry insiders had known for years. Blake Lively wasn't just demanding, she was ruthless. She was controlling, manipulative, and impossible to challenge when she wanted something done her way. That is exactly what happened with It Ends With Us. This wasn't just another movie for Justin Baldoni. It was his passion project. He had been attached to the film for years, working closely with author Colin Hoover to ensure the adaptation stayed true to its powerful message about domestic violence. He had a clear vision, a loyal team, a version of the film that scored higher in test screenings than Blake's cut. None of that mattered. Blake decided it wasn't her version. By April 2024, she had successfully forced him out of his own film. She took over the final cut, rewrote key scenes, and made sure that her version was the one that got released. When Justin tried to push back, she locked him out of the editing process completely. In September 2024, one of Baldoni's former editors came forward with a shocking revelation. Blake had secretly spliced parts of Justin's original cut into the final version without his consent. By June 2024, she had also hijacked the film's marketing. This wasn't about the original story anymore. This was about Blake's narrative, and through it all, she had one very powerful ally standing right behind her, Ryan Reynolds. In public, he played the supportive husband, cracking jokes, dodging controversy, letting Blake handle the legal battle. But behind the scenes, he wasn't just standing by her. He was actively involved in taking Justin Baldoni down. Then came the final bombshell. In January 2025, Justin's legal team confirmed that Ryan Reynolds was also being sued. The reason? A private meeting at Ryan and Blake's penthouse that changed everything. This wasn't just a casual dinner. This was a power move. The meeting took place in March 2024, months before the lawsuit went public. Senior production members, Sony executives, and key figures from It Ends With Us all gathered in one room. The goal was clear: decide Justin Baldoni's fate. But what really happened that night? Ryan Reynolds led the charge. The truth about Ryan Reynolds' involvement in Blake Lively's lawsuit is more shocking than anyone expected. An industry executive who attended a private meeting in March 2024 later revealed disturbing details in an interview with Deadline. According to the source, Ryan wasn't just voicing concerns about Justin Baldoni. He was leading a full-blown attack. His behavior was described as aggressive and humiliating, with people in the room feeling uncomfortable but too afraid to intervene. The goal? Not justice, not protection. It was about power. If Ryan truly believed his wife had been mistreated, why didn't he follow the right channels? Why no HR complaints? Why no legal action? The answer was clear, because this was never about accountability. It was about control. Behind the scenes, Ryan was making sure Blake had the final say on It Ends With Us. Justin Baldoni was a problem, and Ryan was determined to erase him from the picture. And when the lawsuit was finally filed in December 2024, Ryan's influence was everywhere. Before the public even knew what was happening, he had already worked the media. Sources confirmed that Ryan personally reached out to journalists, shaping the narrative before Baldoni even had a chance to defend himself. The headlines were set, the villain was chosen, but the plan didn't work. Justin fought back, and the case took a shocking turn. What started as a defamation battle grew into something much bigger: civil extortion, privacy invasion, and abuse of power. Suddenly, Ryan Reynolds wasn't just a Hollywood A-lister. He was a central figure in one of the ugliest legal fights the industry had ever seen. For years, Blake Lively had strong support from her close circle. Her sisterhood of the traveling Pantsio stars, America Ferrera, Amber Tamblyn, and Alexis Bledel, all stood by her side. Even Colin Hoover, the author of the book Behind It Ends With Us, publicly backed her. But as the evidence stacked up, that loyalty was starting to crack, and Hollywood was watching closely. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are losing Hollywood support, and the silence from their former ally says it all. Actors and industry professionals who once praised Lively are now staying quiet. The same people who publicly backed her just months ago are suddenly nowhere to be found. And it's not just her. Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's favorite funny guy, is also feeling the fallout. He tried to laugh it off during the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special, cracking a joke that barely touched on the controversy. But instead of charm, it came off as tone deaf. Some fans defended him, but many saw it as a weak attempt to downplay a serious situation. Meanwhile, support for Justin Baldoni is quietly growing. At first, he took major hits. His talent agency, WME, cut ties with him after Lively's allegations. It looked like his career was over. But as more details emerged, the narrative started shifting. People inside the industry began to take a second look at the case, and suddenly, Baldoni wasn't the villain anymore. Then came the bombshell that changed everything. A 2009 interview resurfaced where Blake Lively admitted to poisoning her Gossip Girl CEO stars against Penn Badgley. She confessed that she was upset about his casting and deliberately turned the cast against him. Later, she admitted she was wrong, but the damage was already done. Now, Baldoni's legal team is using this as evidence of a pattern, manipulation, control, and a history of sabotaging colleagues, and Hollywood is paying attention. Major events that once rolled out the red carpet for Lively and Reynolds are suddenly leaving them off the guest list. Big budget projects that seem tailor-made for them are moving forward without them. The power couple that once dominated Hollywood is now finding itself on the outside looking in. The stakes couldn't be higher. If this lawsuit drags on, their reputations could be permanently damaged. Studios, collaborators, and even longtime friends are keeping their distance. If they somehow win the legal battle, they might claw back some credibility. But the scars of this scandal won't fade anytime soon. For Justin Baldoni, the outcome could either be a full redemption or the final nail in his career's coffin. One thing is clear, Hollywood is shifting, and the reign of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds as a golden couple is coming to an end. And if you think this drama is over, think again. This is just the beginning. Hit that subscribe button because the next chapter in this Hollywood nightmare is right around the corner.